Hey everybody, welcome to If You Don't Like That. NBA free agency is underway, and yes, it is early, but we do know this. The Kings have lost Jake LaRavia, a 2-year deal to the LA Lakers. I know a lot of Kings fans were hoping that LaRavia would stay in Sacramento. He seemed to be a good fit upon coming to the Kings from Memphis. He is now gone. Obviously, when they drafted Nick Clifford, that created an extra body at the same position that LaRavia plays. And do I think that Clifford right now is better than LaRavia? No. Do I know a lot about Nick Clifford? No. Have I seen him play? No. He comes in with, I guess, pretty good credentials in terms of people that watched him play in college and cover the NBA draft, meaning that his upside looks to be pretty good. But I've never been one that thinks that a known commodity, and not that LaRavia is like an all-star, as opposed to somebody that's never stepped onto an NBA floor, you just don't know. So I'm not crazy about it. You know, I think Kings fans have a tendency to overvalue their players, but I do get LaRavia and the fact that he played the way the Kings fans appreciated and liked. And when he was on the floor, seemed to be able to help them at times. So we'll see, but he goes to the LA Lakers. All right, the other news, and again, I want to make this very clear. The reports are that the Kings and Dennis Schröder have agreed on a partnership. But I've only seen one individual report that from The Athletic. I think his name's Fred Katz. And the guy that I go to for my NBA information, Sham Charania of ESPN, has not mentioned it at all. Now, I'm not saying that means it's not going to happen. But what I am saying is I'm going to wait a little bit before I'm like 100% sure that Schröder is coming to Sacramento. He was on 3 teams last year. He's been on 10 teams in his NBA career, 3 last year, including the Pistons, where he ended up as the third guard. He did not start. Really picked up the slack when Jaden Ivey got hurt, and played well for them coming off the bench. So I want to wait and see if it's the mid-level exception of 14.1, which would seem very high for Dennis Schröder. And then, assuming that that does indeed come to fruition, then you have Malik Monk, right? You have Keon Ellis. You have last year's number 1 draft pick, Devin Carter. And all of a sudden, your backcourt, without knowing what future moves could be made, looks pretty darn crowded. Because I don't think, assuming you're going to spend the mid-level exception, I don't think Dennis Schröder comes here to be a backup. All right, I think he comes here to be a starter. How do I feel about Schröder? I liked him when he was on Atlanta. I'm a little concerned that a guy that plays on 10 different teams is a little bit of a concern. Somebody said, not sure if I saw the reports, but it's looking like a Monk for Schröder sign and trade. I did see that, and I'm not even going there because that doesn't make any sense to me. If that doesn't make any sense to me. That's why I'm not. It doesn't make sense to me. Like I wouldn't want Dennis Schröder over Malik Monk. I'm sorry, I don't think that that makes no sense to me. So I have seen that, but I'm not. I go by common sense here. You know, that doesn't make any sense to me. Why would I want Dennis Schröder over Malik Monk? So I'm not even going to talk about that until it makes sense. That makes no sense to me. I'd take Malik Monk over Dennis Schröder any day of the week. So I'm not crazy about that. All right, let's open up the phone lines. Let's talk about this. Glad to have you with us on a very busy Monday. And let's get right to the phones and let's get to Dirk. Dirk, how are you? I hope you had a good weekend, buddy. How's it going?
Hey, Grant's going well. Just been anticipating news all day and feeling fairly disappointed that there's nothing official. But I do apologize, like the last minute cut out for me for a technical issue. So I was going to speculate with you about all these things going on. So I apologize if I'm talking about things you've already mentioned, right? So the first thing is with Schröder. The deal is supposedly not done because the Kings are trying to work out a sign-and trade.
Right?
Supposedly for Malik Monk. I think I heard you mention Malik Monk.
If that's true, that makes zero sense to me. And I think that's a horrible move by the Kings if that's true. I would take Malik Monk over Dennis Schröder any day of the week.
Well, the reason for the sign-in trade is and this is where it kind of gets weird for me, is they're freeing up money so that they could also sign Russell Westbrook.
Makes no sense. Why would you want Russell Westbrook at 36 years of age? That doesn't make any sense to me. That's a
Well,
1-year deal. I mean, you're going to have Russell Westbrook for 1 year. Really? Like, what does that do for you?
and Grant, I was also wondering, like, is Russell Westbrook going to be your backup point guard to Dennis Schröder?
I
Do
mean,
you
come
think
on.
he'd be okay
And
with
why
that?
does Russell Westbrook want to come to Sacramento? I mean,
It's a
his
good
career
question.
is
Maybe he
almost
doesn't have a
over.
lot of offers.
His career's almost over. That doesn't make any sense to me from Westbrook's perspective. See, none of this would make sense to me. First of all, I wouldn't trade Dennis Schröder for Malik Monk. I just wouldn't do it. And to free up money to get Russell Westbrook, that doesn't do anything for me.
You know, that's just the speculation. Who knows? The idea being to free up money so you could open up a trade. I do have some reasoning to think that they need to get off one of our established guards, is because where are all these minutes going to go? I mean, if you're bringing in a starting point guard, like somebody did a table of all the amount of time, 24 minutes for Schröder, based on what you're 20 for Monk, what 30 something for Zach LaVine.
Well, I got to have a
Carter's
lot
got to
more
get.
than 20 minutes for Malik Monk. I mean, Malik
Yeah,
Monk
no,
needs
I
to
know.
be on the floor more than 20 minutes.
But how many minutes are you going to give Keon Ellis? You know, and then you want Devin Carter to develop if he's still on this roster. There's just not a lot of minutes to go around. And then you brought in Clifford, who plays guard small forward. Now you don't have to give Jake LaRavia minutes, but man, there's just not a lot, not a lot of minutes to go around if you ever wanted him to play guard. So they need to get off a guard contract to spread the minutes out. So that was one theory that, if that's the case, then the sign
Yep.
and trade must be to either get off another contract or another trade. I've been
Well,
I
I'm
mean,
just
I'm
telling you
okay
right
with
now,
the.
if it's Dennis Schröder and a sign and trade for Malik Monk, I hate the deal. I hate the deal. That doesn't make the Kings better.
But what if it's for another player yet to be named? Like that
Okay,
could
well,
be.
I mean, I can't
We'll just
predict the
wait till it's
future.
there.
I would have
Yeah.
to wait until that player is named.
Yeah.
I'm just
So
telling you
I was
though,
just
I
speculating
wouldn't
that.
take Dennis Schröder over Malik Monk. I'm just not. I'm not. That doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, maybe. Well, defensively, I think it makes. He's not like a premier defender, but Schröder was getting a lot of positive play back when he was on the Lakers for his defensive, and that was a long time ago
Big
now.
deal.
But
Big deal. I don't need. If I'm getting a point guard, I need someone to facilitate the offense. I'm not worried about his defense. I mean, the Kings defensively are not very good anyway. I don't think Dennis Schröder. When I think of Dennis Schröder, I don't think of some stalwart defensive player.
before this playoff series he played in Detroit, I couldn't remember a good game that I ever saw Dennis Schröder play.
He
But he
played
does
pretty
have
well in
accolades.
Detroit. He played well for Detroit, but he was
Yeah.
the third guard. He didn't start. And, he played well with Detroit. He really did. But he didn't start. He was a bench player. But if he comes to Sacramento, they're bringing him to Sacramento to start. Would you agree with that?
I would think so, especially if they're going to pay him the mid-level exception, which to me seems like an overpayment. If that's
14 million, that doesn't make sense to me.
there's just
But
not
I'm
a
just
lot
telling
of
you,
point guards.
if you're trading Dennis Schröder for Malik Monk, that makes 0 sense to me. 0 sense to me.
I feel like this year is going to be a wash anyway, but I don't know. Let's just see how it all
Well, here,
pans out.
Dirk, I'm going to say this. It's only a couple of hours of free agency. All the teams that are battling with the Kings, to me, got much better tonight while the Kings are treading water. San Antonio made tremendous moves. Houston got better. New Orleans got, the Clippers got better. I mean, like, hello, let's go, you know?
But we can't even tank, Grant. No one's going to take these contracts. That's just, we're in the worst possible position we could be in. Can't get off the big contracts, can't sign free agents. You know, we're just asking too much of a GM to come and fix this in 1 year, you know? So.
All right. So let me ask you.
Cool.
Would
Sure.
you want? All right. Let's just talk about what we might know. Let's say it's true that it's a sign and trade for Schröder and Monk. So how do you feel about it?
Again, I'm coming from the perception this year is busted. We're not doing anything this year. We're not going to do anything as long as we have Zach LaVine. Okay. So.
Okay, but that doesn't mean that you get rid of Malik Monk, who's still in his prime. That could be very good for you for a long time.
I think we know what Malik Monk is already. Like he did not shoot well last year. He wasn't the same guy. Paired along with Fox, I think we probably saw the best of him. He's got a good two-man game between him and Sabonis, but once you added Zach LaVine, it did not work. It didn't even work for one game unless one of them shot.
Well, I'm sorry. I'd rather have
out, like Zach LaVine.
Well, Zach LaVine didn't show me anything with the Kings last year. And if you want to talk about defense, he's a defensive sieve. He's a liability on defense.
And I think he's wearing the other guys out. Sabonis late in the year stopped playing defense by my analysis because it's kind of hopeless. You can't have one guy make boneheaded mistakes for like 5 turnovers a game. That kills your team morale. So you got to do something just to move on from some of the contracts to get momentum, to have an identity. I mean, if DeRozan's still here, how are you going to see if Keegan's got any more to give you before his extension?
Well, I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait until this is official. But if you're trading Dennis Schröder and you're losing Malik Monk, all right, if you're acquiring Dennis Schröder and you're losing Malik Monk, you did not improve your team at all. As a matter of fact, I think you got worse.
You know Vivek better than anyone I know. So do you think any person, any GM tells you tear it down, that he's actually going to listen? Or is this just a tactful way to
I know Vivek well enough to know that he does not think rationally, and that he does not think that his team needs to be rebuilt. He thinks his team is already a surefire playoff team, and his mindset is not one to rebuild. That's not the way he thinks, and I'm very confident in saying that.
Well, then I just don't have a lot of hope for this next year. So to me, it doesn't really matter. It's kind of like the Indiana Pacers. What do you do with a year without Tyrese Halliburton? You know, you could go so many different ways. It's a lost year for this team. They're not going to make any noise.
I don't see it. I don't see it. But again, I have to be fair. You know, it's still June 30th. Free agency has just begun, and we don't know what other moves and trades. So to be fair, I will wait, but I'm not that encouraged either.
Well, I will say I did like the picks.
Well, but you might like them on paper, but I ask myself this, and teams make mistakes all the time. So if Nick Clifford is that good, why was he available at 24 in a weak draft? And if Reno was a first-round pick, as everyone's saying, why did he get passed by 30 teams not once, but 30 teams plus 11 teams twice, and be available at 42? So ask yourself that. And again, teams do make mistakes, so we understand that. But in a draft that was not that strong, everyone's raving about a player that was taken 42nd in the draft. Doesn't that seem a little odd to you?
No, honestly, no, Grant, because you have to think, like, what is the best player you can get at a certain place? Like, do they have potential? It's, you know, when you 41 other picks go before and you see this guy at 42, I watched this.
No. That's not my point. I'm not saying that the Kings shouldn't have taken him. I'm saying if he's as good as everyone's making him out to be, why was he on the board at 42 in a draft that wasn't that strong? That's what I'm asking.
Why was
I understand.
Jokic
As
in
I
the
said, teams
40s?
do make mistakes.
Yeah.
Jokic is a little bit different because of where he was playing in that part of the world. So I get that to a degree. But this guy played at Stanford. You know, it's not like he played Division I big time basketball. All right. It's not like people didn't know who he was. Why was he the 9th center taken in a draft that's not that strong? That's why that's what I'm asking.
Obviously, because people thought the 8 other centers had more potential, more upside, had a better fit, had intangible or tangibles that's physical stats that were bigger, appeared to be a better defender. There's a lot
Yes,
of
I
different
understand, but
reasons.
that doesn't mean that he's
But
all of a sudden going to be able to step on the floor and play 20 minutes a night.
yeah, I mean, I don't even think we currently have 20
Okay, well,
minutes
let's
for a
say 10
center.
minutes.
I mean, a
I want to
stretch
see him
four
make the
if he
team
rocks
first.
that,
I mean,
right?
I'm not
I hear you.
exaggerating. That's what I want to see him do, and then go from there.
Oh, same. I'm excited to see what he does in, I guess, not the classic, but the
Yes,
summer
me too.
league, just to see the impact he has. But Grant, the 6'11" backup center or center I also see, he has a lot of defensive prowess from what I've seen in his highlights.
I
Keep
don't
in
give
mind
a
they're
damn
highlights.
about highlights. I can make you look good on a highlight reel. I don't care about highlights. They don't mean anything to me. I can take any. Listen, there's not a player that Nick Stauskas looked good on highlights. Quincy Doobie looked good on highlights. Thomas Robinson looked good on highlights. Marvin Bagley looked great on highlights. Highlights don't mean a damn thing to me.
Well, what do you
I
care
care
about
about
then in
whether the
regards
guy
to
can
draft
play
when
or
you got?
not on an NBA level. That's what I care about. I care about what did they do over the bulk of their career in college. Did they get better every year? Like that's the one thing I like about Nate Clifford. He started in Colorado, went to
Yeah.
Colorado State, and made huge improvements from the latter part of his collegiate career from the beginning part of his career. That's what I look for. I look for, wow, this guy made huge jumps from year to year to year to year. Like that's impressive to me. Those are the things I look at. I don't necessarily look at a highlight reel. I mean,
Yeah. I mean,
Papa Giannis looked good in his highlight reel when the Kings drafted him.
well, I think what sometimes you can see plays in a highlight reel that other players are incapable of making. Meaning, it's you wouldn't ever like the playmaking of Nate Clifford. You can see evidence of that. Not every player can make the
I agree.
passes he's making, so you get some
But
perspective of his potential.
his
And then
bulk of
another thing to
work
assess.
at Colorado State, particularly this past year, was very impressive. I would agree with that.
And that we mentioned, like, why did all these other teams pass for him? Do you care about consensus opinion on where guys rank? Like most people had him at 17, yet he ended up at 24 based on consensus ratings.
Okay, so to
So
me, in
there,
this draft, all
I'm
right,
sure a lot of
but
these
in
people
all
are getting there
fairness,
for.
in this draft, to me, 17 and 24 are the exact same. There's no difference because they drop
Okay.
off in this draft, Dirk, and it's a good question. The drop off was up in the first 10, and it was like you went off a cliff. So to me, in this draft, I believe that your player taken 24th could be very well be better than the player taken 9th or 10th or 28th being better. That's the type of draft it is. So yes, I understand.
Yeah, and I mean, I just like that what I saw. Again, I haven't watched Colorado State one Colorado State game. I liked his what I've seen, the playmaking, that the defense. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing this guy
Okay.
develop and play.
And
So that's
I'm not
all
saying that
end on.
I'm not. What I'm trying to get across to you is when you lose a player that you already know can play. Let's use Jake LaRavia, who's not a starter. Would we agree with that, Dirk? He's a role player.
He is a role player. I've been very
Okay.
high on him all
Okay.
last year,
So here's the
Grant.
point I'm
So
trying to make.
yeah.
You already knew
Hmm.
what you had in LaRavia because you've seen it, and he's got years of experience at the NBA level, and you already know what you can get from him. So now you lose him, and you think that you're going to be able to replace him with a player that's never played in the NBA before, which is the unknown. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Okay.
Hey,
Fair
good
enough.
call, Dirk. Have a good night, okay? Appreciate
as
it.
well, Grant.
And again, Dirk makes some very good points. I'm just saying that you have players that you've watched play at an NBA level that you evaluate. And by the way, Scott Perry didn't trade for LaRavia, so he may not be a fan of his. I think Doug Christie was, but I'm not going to speak for Doug. And now you lose LaRavia, who again is not a starter. He is a role player, but you need role players to win in the NBA. And you think that Nick Clifford is going to be better than him. Well, you better be right. You better be right. Again, I am waiting for the official word on this Malik Monk news. I mean, I don't understand this. If this is true, I'm going to tell you right now, all right? If this is true, this makes no sense to me. No sense to me. No sense. I'm not going to believe it. I'm not going to believe it until I see it from Shams Charania or somebody that's got credibility. If you're doing a sign and trade, Malik Monk for Dennis Schroeder, you didn't get better. That doesn't make your team better. For those that are just joining us, I'm getting a lot of feedback on my chat line. They're hearing that Malik Monk is being traded in a sign and trade for Dennis Schroeder from the Detroit Pistons. That just, I'm sorry, I'm not going to believe it. I'm going to say that's not happening. And the reason why I'm saying that's not happening is I like to use common sense here. All right? I like to use common sense. All right. If you want to call the show, you got the link there. You got it over my shoulder and everything else. Okay? And glad that you are joining me. So again, I'm only going by common sense, and I'm saying that's not happening, okay? Because common sense tells me that that's just not going to happen. Common sense tells me if you have needs for plumbing, repairs, etc., then you need to go to New Works Plumbing, all right? At 916-713-1010. New Works Plumbing, they've got a fix for you. NewWorksPlumbing.com, NEWWRXPlumbing.com. Available around the clock 24/7. That's New Works Plumbing. They've got a fix for you. All right. Glad to have you with us right here. All right. Just looking at my messages that I'm getting. Let's talk to Rhino here, audio only. What's up, Rhino?
Hey, what's up, Nabes? How you doing tonight, buddy?
I'm fine, buddy. How are you?
So I'm doing great. I had to chime in and join you since it's free agency. Let's work through this possible Malik Monk situation. The
Yep.
Kings have an issue playmaker. He is your best playmaker on the roster. Would you agree?
Yes, I would agree.
He is under a fair contract. Agree?
I would agree.
His value could probably only go up short of falling off of a cliff or an injury.
Agree.
So why would you discard that value and that talent, the one thing you need on this team this early in free agency for two quantities that are on the downside of their careers if it's about a rebuild? You should be holding on to Malik Monk with the partnership with Sabonis. instead of trying to get onto two older guys. It just does not make sense this early in free agency news.
That's why I didn't report it when I started the show, and I only started to talk about it when we got messages on the chat line, because it doesn't make any sense to me, and that's why I didn't even mention it when I came on.
Yeah, unless you're getting multiple first round picks in exchange, because I would think there would be other league interest in Malik Monk.
Here's the other deal. There's only one individual that's reported Dennis Schroeder going to Sacramento, and I don't even know who that individual is. And, I go by what Shams Charania says, because the guy normally bats 1,000, right? I mean, the guy is really,
Sure.
really good. And until I see Shams reporting it, I'm going to even say I don't even know about Dennis Schroeder coming to the Kings.
Yeah, it's a very fair point. Look, DeMar DeRozan Grant was day 5 of free agency. We're
it was on the
hours
weekend,
into
right?
this thing. Yeah, it was on a weekend where they were having the California Classic.
Well, I just go by common sense, and common sense tells me that you're not trading Malik Monk for Dennis Schroeder. It just doesn't add up. So I'm going to say this is not true, just based on common sense.
Yep, I'm with you. And to your other point about the West passing the Kings up, I would argue the Kings don't really have much to work with, number one. I think you guys hit the nail on the head about Clifford replacing Laravia. But what are you going to do? What moves would you have liked to see today?
In terms of value, I would have, Tyus Jones just signed with Orlando for $7 million. That, to me,
Sure.
I love Tyus Jones. I'd rather have him than Dennis Schroeder at $14 million, just to tell you that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, certainly. The point guard market, and it's going to be tough to judge because D'Angelo Russell took less money to be in a good situation.
To go to Dallas. Yep.
To go to Dallas. But I think you hit the nail on the head. The Tyus Joneses, there were some very fair contracts today handed out to guys that are going to be second, maybe third in line per point guard on their current roster that I think the Kings certainly could have attacked. I mean, Grant, look at Colin Sexton. It took Yusuf Nurkic and a pick to go grab him from Utah.
Listen, I'm not anti-Dennis Schroeder. Like, he doesn't, knock my socks off. He is a serviceable point guard that has experience, that is better than average, in my opinion. Played well with Detroit when he got there, but it was his third team last year. There are a few things. Number one, if it's the mid-level at 14.1, I think that's way too much for him. That's number one. Number two, I'm concerned that he's been on so many teams. Why is that a point guard that's supposedly good, why has he been on 10 teams already? That's a concern. And then number three, if you're going to do a sign and trade, what are you giving up to get him? I think this makes you marginally better, but it doesn't tip the scales for me. It just doesn't.
No. And it doesn't seem in line with some of the moves that Scott Perry, quite frankly, I've been impressed since the draft. I thought he, for the most part, drafted within what he talked about building this team was going to look like. He moved up, which was a good idea. This seems like it would be a step back in terms of rebuilding this.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. That's why I'm going to say it did not happen and it's not going to happen. And again, until I see Shams report it, I'm just going to say it's nonsense, and it's one of those things that get out on the internet. That's the other thing I think everyone needs to understand here. We live in a world now where there's tons of misinformation out there. Okay. And I've always, and you know this, Rhino,
right?
I check the sources on these type of things, and I go by people that I trust that have a proven track record. If I haven't heard of the individual and that individual is the only one reporting it, I don't put a lot of validity into that. Even if the person has, 6 digits of social media followers, I go by credibility. I'm very skeptical when I hear a lot of trades, and then I look at who's reporting those trades, Rhino, and I'm like, I don't even know that individual. That individual doesn't have a lot of credibility. I mean, look at Chris Haynes today and what he did, right? He got the Jake Laravia deal wrong. Think about that for a minute.
He did. Yeah, that's a big deal for Chris Haynes.
It's a huge deal. It's a huge deal.
Absolutely. And the reality is, and I think you're spot on with the way you look at things, you get a trade wrong on social media. If everybody's looking for that trade, you are going to gain 5 figures in followers just for getting it wrong.
Yep.
So it's tough to decipher through. I want to ask you about Houston. You mentioned them earlier in the show. You did not think they got better with Durant. Has your opinion changed based on the moves they made today?
I like the moves they made today. Uh, I like the moves they made today. Yes. But do I think that they're like the number 2 team in the West, which they were last year with Durant? My problem with Durant, Rhino, is not his ability to still play at a very good level. My issue with Durant is the attrition on his body and the
Sure.
number of games that he misses and has missed. And he's 36, and that's a concern to me because if I'm looking at Houston, Ryan, I'm not looking at 82 games. I'm looking at 92 to 100 games because the goal for Houston with this roster now is to play deep into the playoffs. So let's say that the average round goes 5 to 6 games. Well, before you even make it to the finals, that's 15 to 20 games. All right. So, like,
Hmm.
do I think that Durant, and I'm not expecting him to play all 82, but let's say he plays 65. Then all of a sudden you're going to need him in every game in the playoffs. Can you count on him to play that much? That's my issue with Durant.
Yeah, Grant, I think the interesting part of that is it depends what you are asking Kevin Durant to do. In Phoenix, they asked him to play a little bit of four at times and kind of get dirty down there. And 37 years old, that's not what you need Kevin Durant to do. And I thought the signings today in Houston kind of said, we're going to bolster the interior so we can keep you on the perimeter. We can keep you clean. We can get you looks, let you float on defense because bringing Capella, bringing Adams.
Well, I just lost you, buddy. All right, I'll say so long to you. Thank you very much. Bad connection there, so I just lost you. Again, I would just tell you that I don't put a lot of stock into these rumors. Okay. I'm just not. And I think that all of you that are on this stream right now need to learn when you see something on the internet, who is the individual that's reporting it? What's their track record? What's their credibility? Okay. Like those things are important. All right, let's get back to Rhino. Okay, buddy, you're back on.
Yeah, sorry about that, partner. Where did I lose you at?
Well, you were in a I can't give you one specific point. We were just talking about the other teams. We were talking about Houston. We were talking about Durant. We were just talking about how you have to have credibility if you're going to take someone at gospel on the internet. Like if they report something, we were talking about everything.
Yeah, okay. So the point I was making last was about Durant. I wasn't sure how much you got of that. I
Yeah.
thought Houston did a really good job of bolstering the front line to ask Kevin Durant to probably only play at the 2 or the 3, which Grant not having to play the 4, which he did it sometimes in Phoenix, asking him to get down low, get rebounds. That's not his game at 37. I think they're looking to keep him clean on the perimeter. You can move Şengün to the 4 now if you need to. So maybe that formula could be in place to get him to play a few more games like you're talking about.
Well, what I do know about Houston is they're significantly better than Sacramento. Okay, that's what I do know. And I'll tell you who I think may have had the best few hours in the start of free agency. And you may disagree with me. I think the Denver Nuggets hit it out of the park. I think getting Cam Johnson and having, Brown Jr. come back, who was instrumental in helping them win a championship 2 years ago, I think they really got themselves better today. I think they've had a really good opening to free agency.
I couldn't agree with you more. I would put San Antonio right there as well. I thought they made
Yep.
some great moves as well. But with Christian Brown, he's showing to be kind of like a Caruso. Maybe he could be better, but to get Cam Johnson there
Yep.
on this coast, I think that changes a little bit for the Nuggets. And Grant, they were one game away from beating the
That's right.
Thunder with
That's
3
right.
injuries.
Yep. Well, again, it's only June 30th, but I'm looking at, I think the Spurs have leapfrogged ahead of Sacramento. You agree with me there?
With you.
Okay. Houston's already better than Sacramento. We know that Oklahoma City's better. We know that Denver's better. I think Dallas is better now. That's my opinion. I think the Clippers are still better. I don't know about the Warriors yet. I don't think Phoenix is yet, so I'm going to say no. Portland, I still don't think is there yet, and the Jazz aren't. New Orleans, question mark. I still want to see what they do. I'm not crazy about what they did today. I'm not crazy about Poole. I think that getting, listen, do I think that reuniting 2 Warriors in New Orleans with Kevon Looney and Jordan Poole is going to make them a lot better? It's just a different look for them. I'll just say that.
Yeah, don't forget about Ty Jerome went to Memphis. I was going to bring that up separately. Yeah, no, I'm with you. That doesn't change a lot. I do think Portland is closer than the Kings. Phoenix, I think, is a little bit further, but they made a bigger jump than we expected this quick. I
Yeah.
thought this would be year 2, not 2 months removed. Um,
And then the
I
Lakers are the
guess,
Lakers. I mean, the Lakers are still, to me, better than Sacramento. If Luka is the MVP type of a player, they're better than Sacramento.
hands down, they've got Luca. You got to think he's going to come in better shape. Hopefully,
Yep.
if he doesn't, that's concerning. Health capital of the world, LA, at least here in the
Well, I
USA.
don't know, but they've put pictures of Luka already in his off-season workout, and he looks like a new man. Like that's what's all over the internet. Again, it's the internet, and you can do a lot of things with pictures and everything. But the report is that he's on a huge workout diet regiment.
Well, JJ Redick said championship shape, so it's good to see him, if true, taking that seriously. LeBron gives a little nudge to the franchise, saying we want to get better. We want to maybe move if we don't. But yeah, the Lakers are, to me, probably still better than the Kings at this point. But do you think anybody took, and this is the last question that I'll ask, and then I'll hop off for everybody else. Do you think anybody came close to OKC?
Yeah, I think Denver did.
Okay.
I think Denver
I
did
don't
because
disagree
they
there.
still have Nikola Jokic and they still have Jamal Murray. And I think Aaron Gordon is underappreciated, if I can use that. Well, I underappreciated is the wrong word. Let me backtrack. I think he's overshadowed playing along Nikola Jokic. And I think what he does for that team is huge. And I think when they're healthy with those 3, now you add Cam Johnson, you bring back Brown with what they already have. I think they're right there with Oklahoma City. Do I think they're better? Again, you made a good point. They came within 48 minutes of beating them. So they're right there, in my opinion.
Yeah, that wild card is Jamal Murray. Can he stay healthy throughout the
Yes.
season? Usually he goes through that little lull. San
Yep.
Antonio, I think, improved their timeline a little bit. And also to your point about Aaron Gordon, I think Jokic has rubbed off on him in a way that his game would have never grown if he
Yeah.
wasn't around Jokic. And you saw that this postseason. But San Antonio, Cornette, I think, helps tremendously. You have the
Yep.
draft picks coming in.
Agreed.
De'Aaron Fox, where does he fit in?
It's a great question. They better hope he fits in really, really well. Because they're looking at him, Wembanyama is Wembanyama, but they're looking at Fox as the key to the engine, and we'll see how that works.
Yeah, we'll
They're
see if he
loaded
gets
though.
paid.
When you look at their team on paper, you're like, whoa, right? I mean, they
Yep.
got a hell of a roster right now.
Yep, and Cornette, man, he played in Boston for less money this year.
Yes.
He wanted to be with that team, and he was huge in the playoffs, and he earned that paycheck. He's going to be a big asset to that team.
Well, in the conclusion, and I really appreciate you coming on, and we're going back and forth on this.
Yeah.
I'm going to wait until we get more. Like, I'm getting a text here saying the Bleacher Report has it up on their page about the Monk Dennis sign and trade. Again, doesn't mean anything to me. I want to see it from Sham Charania and everything else. So I'm going to wait. It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I'm with you. Bleacher Report to me is step below the Athletic.
Yep.
Need to see Shams on this one.
Yep. Appreciate it.
Thanks for the time, partner.
Take care, buddy. Bye-bye.
Yep.
Hey, Rhino, you still there?
Yeah. Yeah.
You got Jerry on tomorrow at 3:00?
Yeah, he'll be on at 3:00. We'll be breaking down free agency.
Sounds great. Have a great show.
Thanks.
Take care.
You too.
All right. So everybody, that's tomorrow on the King's Court. Ryan will have Jerry Reynolds, and maybe we'll have some further updates on that. Glad to have everybody here on the first night of free agency. Want to tell you about Sunrise Landing in Calusa. Go to CalusaSunrise.com if you are looking to relocate to beautiful Calusa with these awesome models to choose from. No Mellorews, no homeowners. This from Blazona Development. And if you go to CalusaSunrise.com, you'll get all the information you need. Remember, adjacent to the Calusa Golf and Country Club, you can get there I-5, Highway 45, Highway 20. Sunrise Landing, go to CalusaSunrise.com and get all the information you need. Well, I tell you, it's one thing you got to be careful about with NBA free agency are where you're getting your information from. All right? So just keep that in mind. But as of now, nothing from Sham Charania, who's probably going to get about 2 hours of sleep during the first couple of days of this. To me, Houston got better today. Denver certainly got better today. San Antonio got better today. Right off the get-go. Oklahoma City's already better. Memphis, I don't know about Memphis yet. I'm not ready to go there yet. I want to see what they do with their roster. You know, losing Desmond Bane, trading him to Orlando, going in a different direction. They come to terms with Jaren Jackson Jr. on a big deal, and he deserves it. I'm not sure about Memphis. I want to see what happens and where Morant is and that team. I'm not sold on Memphis yet. I'm not sold. Wow. Got it. My appointment next month with Raja Fashions. Won a couple of new suits. That is awesome. Good for you. Are they coming out on a trunk show to you, or are you going to Bangkok? I would love to know more on that. I'm very good friends with them, so make sure you use my name. They're awesome. You'll either meet with Bobby or his son, Dane. They're both great. Great. Cody, they're awesome, man. They're freaking awesome. All right. Again, you can't say that the Kings have hit rock bottom or they've done this or that. They haven't done anything yet. All right. I'm not even talking any more about this right now, about the rumors about Monk going to Detroit, until I see somebody. Oh, Union Square. Okay, good. Good. It's either going to be with Bobby or Dane. And that's great. So they're doing a trunk show going out west. That's awesome. That's awesome. I'll let them know that I'll go talk to them and let them know. That's good. That's next month. That's awesome. They're great. All right. Again, if you want to get in on the program, hit me up. Easy to do so. You got the links and everything else, or we can just go by the chat line. What do I think about the Knicks potentially hiring Mike Brown? He's not Tom Thibodeau. That's what I think. It's a big step down. I like the Knicks signing today. Jordan Clarkson, when I say signing, agreeing, can't sign just yet. I think that's a really good pickup for the Knicks. Like, I think he'll be tremendous for them coming off the bench. All right. July 29th. Good for you, Cody. Awesome. I'll let them know. But I think Jordan Clarkson going to the Knicks is a really good pickup for New York. And I'm not anti-Mike Brown, but he's not Tom Thibodeau. So I doesn't matter. Listen, of the three guys that I know that they've interviewed, if it were me, I would hire Micah Nori. I like Micah Nori. I think he could be a tremendous head coach. So far, it looks like we're running it back with minor tweaks. Have to wait. We don't know yet. You know, you gotta be fair here. Okay, it's right now 8:47. Free agency started 5 hours and 47 minutes ago. Let's be fair here. We don't know yet. So let's be fair. I think you have a new general manager, and I'm not going to rip the guy 5 hours in the free agency. I'm not. You got to be fair here. I mean, you got to be respectful to a man that's trying to do his job. I'm not going to kill him in 5 hours of free agency. But I do like the moves that a lot of the teams in the West have already made, not named Sacramento. It was a Jake Fisher report, so not just anybody. I don't care who it was, and thank you for that information, Michael. Okay? It doesn't have any validity to me. Okay? If I don't see it from Shams Charania, who is so well connected with every agent in the NBA, the fact that he hasn't mentioned one word of it makes me very skeptical. Very skeptical. Not that he's like the god of NBA, but I mean, he's right up there. So I'm not, until I see Shams Charania report it, I'm skeptical. All right? Personally, I don't know who Jake Fisher is. So, but that doesn't mean the guy's not credible. I don't even know who that is. And as of right now, at 8:48 Pacific time, I don't see anything at all from somebody that I consider very credible. And very credible meaning has a high percentage of being right. That's how I go. I'm not just going to come on the air and talk about somebody I've never heard of saying that a sign and trade deal is done. It just, again, I'm trying to use my brain here instead of like who's reporting stuff. And I know that you all at times question the size of my brain, and I get that. You're not alone. But like, don't you use common sense when you talk about deals? Don't you like say, that can't be? Like I did that with Dallas and the Lakers when they traded Luka. I'm like, that can't be. So we'll see. We'll see. I don't even know if Dennis Schroeder's coming to Sacramento because of one individual reported it. Again, why hasn't Shams Charania reported it? Tell me. Even if there was a lot of validity to this sign and trade that hadn't happened, Shams would report it. Hasn't even reported it. Tomorrow I will see Monk to the Pistons. Well, why tomorrow? Why not tonight? If it's a simple sign and trade, that's not hard to do. Again, Shams is talking with every agent in the NBA repeatedly. If there's a lot of validity to this, I think he would report it. I'm not going there. Not yet. All right, again, if you want to get in on the program, do so. Don't forget tomorrow, right here on If You Don't Like That, Rhino will have Jerry Reynolds. Again, Aaron says something is going on with the Schröder deal because the details haven't been released. Sports Illustrated reported Dennis Schröder to the Kings. Good for them. Good for them. I'm not reporting it until I know that it's factual. And as of right now, I don't have a credible source telling me that there's a sign and trade going on with the Pistons. I'm not saying that the individual from The Athletic is not credible. I'm just saying, in my eyes, I need it validated by a different source. Okay? I need more than one source. So we'll see. We'll see. Glad that you're with us again. Don't forget tomorrow, Rhino, 3 o'clock, Jerry Reynolds. And if this happens, that will be what they'll be discussing for a large part of the show. You can bet on that. No question about that. Hey, speaking of betting, you don't want to bet when it comes to your home and your loan. No, you need a sure thing. That's Connor with Element Mortgage with loads of experience. And the team behind him has over 100 years experience. There's the QR code, or you can call him at 916-505-1006. What do you want in a real estate agent? You want somebody that knows what they're doing, great experience, with a good team behind them, and knows the market. That's Connor. 916-505-1006. Give him a call. That's Connor with Element Mortgage. All right, glad to have you with us here on If You Don't Like That. Still waiting on any validation on what the Kings are doing in night one of NBA free agency. What we do know is that they lose Jake LaRavia to the Lakers, which doesn't make the Kings better. Doesn't make them better. What it does mean is that Scott Perry has a lot of confidence in Nick Clifford, who they drafted at 24th overall from Colorado State. That's what it means. All right? That's what it means. Michael says, for sure, we understand that fans are just worried. I get it. I understand. So right now, it's almost midnight East Coast time. I think Shams is in Bristol. So, he's working the phones, and he hasn't put anything out on social media in an hour, which surprises me on the first night of free agency. But he's got to sleep too, I would think. Get a couple of hours. But maybe we won't know until the morning. Maybe we'll have to wait until the morning. But right now, nothing that can be confirmed. And you'll get all the information tomorrow right here with Rhino and Jerry Reynolds. They'll be on at 3 o'clock. And then I'm going to come on tomorrow, and we'll do another show at 8 o'clock. I like that time because it's later in the East Coast. Most of the news is done for the day, and we can break it down. So I like that. I like coming on this week at 8 o'clock Pacific. We take your phone calls, and we can go over the day's activities. Again, free agency is a couple of days here. You just can't come to a complete summary in 5 hours or 8 hours. Ryan made a good point when he joined me earlier. DeMar DeRozan was a couple of days in, right? So these things don't necessarily all occur on the first couple of hours. Can't judge too soon, even if Monk is traded. Oh, I'll judge real soon if he's traded. For Dennis Schröder, that would make no sense to me. 0 cents. 0 cents. Thank you very much for that. Said, I love your knowledge of the NBA, just spot on every time. This is why I like your show, Grant. Hope your 4th of July is awesome. I'm not right every time, but thank you for that. I hope you have a great 4th as well. Clifford for LaRavia is a 50-50 deal. We didn't see that many games with LaRavia. That's my positive spin on this. I'm okay with that. I'm okay. I'm concerned that if we do not make corrections to this team, we could see another playoff drought for a while. Well, I think everyone would acknowledge that. Yes, you would have a playoff drought for quite a while. There's no question about that. None. All right. And there's no question about the prime seafood and steak that you get at Bennett's. They're awesome. Go to Bennett'sRestaurants.com to make a reservation. Bennett's in Sacramento, Roseville, and the West Side Grill in Rockland. Their weekend brunch is outstanding. I am looking forward to getting there when I return to Sacramento. Talk to Brian and everyone. Love Bennett's. Go to bennettsrestaurants.com for prime seafood and steaks. That's bennettsrestaurants.com to make a reservation and more. You'll love it at Bennett's. Life of a Kings fan is misery. Yeah, I understand. We'll see. All right, so tomorrow, 3 o'clock, Rhino, Jerry Reynolds, and I'm back here at 8 o'clock. That puts a wrap. Whoops, let me, Brian's like, thank you for leaving that up for the whole latter part of the show. I really appreciate that. I'm like, Brian, for you, no problem, buddy. All right, have a good night. See what happens. We'll know a lot more tomorrow. Appreciate you joining us here. Love your support. Talk to you tomorrow. 3 o'clock, Rhino and Jerry Reynolds. 8 o'clock right here on If You Don't Like That. Bye-bye now.